KNXX, Donaldson. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Thanks for hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and lots to do over the next 2 hours. JD Piquel from On 3 going to be with us in 15 minutes talking about the national landscape of college football. It is a What If Wednesday. We'll get to some of those. Brian Kelly got his answer on the blocked punt from Saturday. Talked about it on the SEC teleconference. We'll go into that a little bit later. I could not say this name yesterday when we were setting up the teaser for today's show. Let's see if we can get it on the first try today. Zachary Anderson-Yoxsimer from Locked On UCLA is going to join us at the top of hour number 2. We'll chat with him about the Bruins, who will visit Louisiana for the first time for a football game in their program's history on Saturday afternoon in Tiger Stadium. And SEC football power rankings coming your way an hour and a half from right now at 2:30. Might get a little bit spicy. We'll just have to see. So lock us in for the next 2 hours. We appreciate you being with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Let's start with the New Orleans Saints. News today that Alvin Kamara was named the NFL's Offensive Player of the Week. Great honor for Alvin as he goes for 4 touchdowns in the game against Dallas. He has been sensational in this Clint Kubiak offense. And that was really the question, wasn't it? How well can Clint Kubiak use Alvin Kamara? And immediately everybody wanted to go straight to Christian McCaffrey. And I'm going, okay, that's fine. Christian McCaffrey is the reigning MVP of the National Football League, and Alvin Kamara has had 3 straight years of very, very limited production. So just assuming that that's going to pick up right where Christian McCaffrey left off or right where Alvin Kamara was 5 years ago seems like a little bit of a stretch for me. But right now, through 2 weeks, it's not a stretch. It has been the case. The Saints have gotten Alvin Kamara involved in that stretch running game that fits his game so well. The Saints have gotten Alvin Kamara involved in the short passing game, which has been fantastic. The offensive line has blocked very, very well. Derek Carr has used that running game, and they've been able to stretch the ball down the field and hit big shots to Shaheed. But it all, as we talked about yesterday on the show, it all starts with the running game, and that's been largely Alvin Kamara. Yes, Jamal Williams has done his part more than he did all of last year. Yes, Taysom Hill has done his part, but now he's a little bit banged up this week. Kamara is the straw that's stirring that drink in a big, big way, and it's been incredible to sit there and watch him kind of return to the form that we saw 4 or 5 years ago. And it brings up the point, okay, we were in a contract dispute with Alvin Kamara over the course of the offseason. He left minicamp early, said, hey, I left minicamp early to make a statement, but I'm here to work. I'm here to practice. I'm here to play. I'm trying to go get money. I'm not trying to give it back, which is what he would have done if he held out and was paying fines every day. And I told you on this show that I was so impressed with the professionalism of Alvin Kamara to suggest that, hey, I want the money, and that's important to me, but I also know I got to practice with my guys, and I'm going to go out there and play. And he talked about how much he loves the city, and I believe him. Alvin Kamara went through a lot of great times early in his professional career in that city, and I'll tell you, as someone who's been in that city, when the Saints are really good, that's a lot of fun. It's a great fan base. It's a great environment. It was a great team. They won a lot of games. There was some heartbreak involved late, but Kamara was part of the twilight of Drew Brees' career, which produced some really, really good football teams. And now he's playing great, and he's obviously endeared himself once again. Not that he ever didn't endear himself to the fan base, but everyone's back in right now. And so the question is, do you open up the checkbook now and sign Alvin Kamara to an extension? He clearly wants it. There have clearly been negotiations. Do you make that happen? A lot of people thought it would happen in the offseason. And the Saints, to their credit, held firm. I talked about it all offseason. No extensions, Don't kick the can down the road on anybody. No deferring of money. You got yourself into this mess. You've got to get yourself out of it. And the only way to do that is to hold on to your purse strings and chill out, which the Saints haven't done in 15 years. And they did it this offseason. They did not overextend themselves. They did not overextend for Chase Young. They paid him a 1-year deal here. They did not overextend or try to bring back Michael Thomas. They did not go out and sign any free agents to gaudy 4- and 5-year deals. They held firm. But now, do you change that philosophy because Alvin Kamara has played the way he has played through the first 2 weeks? It's a discussion worth having, I think. Now, my answer is probably not going to be a very popular answer because of the way the last 2 weeks have gone, but I'm not doing that if I'm the Saints. Two things can be incredibly true at the same time. One, this offense is cooking, it is humming, it is awesome. Two, Alvin Kamara is still 30, and we have watched this for 2 weeks. There is no rule that says if you don't sign Alvin Kamara to an extension today, you can't do it down the line. Now, there becomes a point where he could become a free agent, but you're going to have first dibs there. You're going to have the table before everyone else can show up at the table. So I'm going to need to see more of this to make me feel really good about a sizable deal. Now, I will put in the caveat here as I talk about this that I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know what the Saints think of it. I don't know what Alvin Kamara thinks of it. I don't know in terms of years, and I don't know in terms of dollars. So without that information, it's impossible for me to make any sort of declaration, a final declaration. But just in general, my thought is I'm not willing to just immediately toss a 3-year deal on the table just because the Saints have looked awesome for 8 quarters. It's so exciting and so encouraging for this season. But that contract extension has nothing to do with this season. Nothing. And Alvin Kamara is only going to get older. And if we want to have this real conversation outside the Saints locker room, just Saints fans and me having a discussion here, like if the Saints are incredible this year to the point where you want to extend Alvin Kamara because you think you're now Super Bowl contenders moving forward, just being honest here, do we think Clint Kubiak's going to be back next year if that happens? Again, I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I'm not saying it's definitely not. But we're playing with hypotheticals here with Alvin Kamara's paycheck. And if we're talking about 2025, 2026, 2027, well, that offense may be a little bit different. And I might need to go get some more playmakers. And I might not need to tie up money in players that are aging out of their prime. I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled, that Alvin Kamara is on this team right now at the salary he's making, because that is perfectly adequate. But you realize when you're paying someone and you agree to a new contract, you're paying them for the production that goes on during the life of that contract. My confidence level that Alvin Kamara is going to be a very, very productive player in a good offense, not in last year's offense, not in the offense the year before that, but a good offense, my confidence level is somewhere in the neighborhood of 70%. I feel good that Alvin Kamara still has some gas in the tank. He's a guy that likes to play in space. He's good catching the football. He hasn't been for years slamming into middle linebackers 30 times a game. His running style's not like Derrick Henry's. And he's good at avoiding contact. I think he has gas in the tank. But let me just wait a second before we immediately jump in and react to 2 weeks of football or 4 weeks of football or 6 weeks of football and go, okay, now we got to give the contract. Now, to circle back on this, because this is an important piece to this discussion that I'm having, because I know it's not going to be very popular when everybody's feeling really great. And I get that. But I do want to highlight the fact that I continue to applaud Alvin Kamara's amazing professionalism, because he has handled this exceptionally well. This is rare in professional sports, that players are in this situation and always have a smile on their face and always come to work and produce. That does not happen all the time. And Alvin Kamara deserves a ton of credit for that. But credit to Alvin Kamara does not help my salary cap situation, which, by the way, still is not awesome in New Orleans. And that is something they have got to figure out moving forward. I feel like they have figured it out, but you don't need to go jump back into a mess right now. So 99.9% of the Saints coverage right now should be wildly positive, and I personally am wildly positive about the Saints right now. I think this feels for real. I think this team right now is a threat. I could come back in 14 days and go, whoa, we really got out of our skis there. And that may happen, and we'll have that conversation if we do. But right now it feels like they're really on to something. And that's awesome. But I think there are different things that we need to approach and talk about that aren't just between the lines. And this salary cap situation they're trying to dig themselves out of is one of them. My gut tells me that they will get a deal done with Alvin Kamara and make that work. I'm just curious what the terms of that deal are, and then we'll react to it. Saints are good right now, and they got a real chance to win this game against Philly, one that most people 3 weeks ago, not me, penciled in as a loss. If you go back to my preseason predictions, I had the Saints beating the Philadelphia Eagles. I did not have them beating the Dallas Cowboys. You go 3-0 with wins over Philly and Dallas. Those are thought to be two of the big threats in the NFC. I think they're for real, but that doesn't mean you go screw the salary cap back up again because you're paying older players past their prime big-time dollars. I applaud the Saints. I applaud Alvin Kamara. Now let's get back to talking about the team that's playing really, really well and go away from those negative topics. We'll do that as the show moves forward. When we come back, J.D. Piquel of On 3 going to join us to talk about college football from a national perspective. Always enjoy our conversations with J.D. We do it next on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. Security is so important. Nothing's more important than the security of your home, of your family. And for us in the Palmer House, we trusted Audio Video Security Solutions to handle the entire thing at our home. They came over, it was Mitchell, me, my wife, looked around the house. We discussed kind of what we wanted, what our pricing situation was, and just said, all right, came back out the next day, did the measurements for all of the windows, put the sensors all in. We plotted out where we wanted the cameras. They supplied the cameras for us. We've got those now installed front door and back door. And I can pull up the app on my phone wherever I am, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and look at my front door and my back door. I can rewind, I can pause, I can zoom in. The picture is crystal clear. It's incredible. We can also deactivate and activate our burglar alarm remotely, thanks to the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. They did the entirety of it. It's fantastic, and it's important. If you have not considered a home security system with cameras, I highly suggest it. And Audio Video Security Solutions needs to be the place you go to do it. Mitchell Fisher's cell phone, he's the owner of the company, 225-439-7920. That's 439-7920. Give him a call. Say, hey, I want the Hunt Palmer treatment. Well, he probably wants something a little bit better than that, but you can make it happen at Audio Video Security Solutions, online at avssla.com, avssla.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hunt Palmer, lover of LSU, Shreveport, and mayonnaise on hot dogs. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Did you get the voice girl's cell phone number and just send her some text?
No, I sent our esteemed programming director / schedule guy, Cade. I sent him the what I wanted her to say, and what kind of sound effects we wanted in there, and got it done.
Well, there it is. What? Hot dogs are better with mayonnaise. It's really just science.
I wanted to throw in there the mayonnaise on spaghetti too, but then it just got too long.
That's a bit much, Chad. People just don't want to hear that when they're driving around. We don't need to cause more traffic issues with the wrecks here in Baton Rouge, so we'll just leave it at that. JD McCall, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. You can subscribe up to the YouTube channel, get your college football content each and every day. You don't have to wait until Wednesdays, but if you do, he's right here every single Wednesday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. JD, how we doing?
Man, I'm doing phenomenal. I'm doing a lot better than our friends in Gainesville, Florida, unfortunately. But, no, life is good, man. Week 4.
Are you surprised they still have a coach in Gainesville, Florida?
So I was the guy all offseason saying, hey, give him more time. You know, it's far too early. Give him the season. If he goes 6-6, there's a chance. And, I am 3 games in very firmly okay, I can't even argue for this anymore. I thought they were going to pull the trigger as of, Sunday morning after the A&M game with the way that thing went. But the unfortunate part is, I think everybody knows it's over. It's just kind of like that, like that couple in high school where you're like, are they still together or did she break up with him yet? Is that over yet or what? We all know where this is going. It's just a matter of when, not if, unfortunately.
Is it just a talent deal? Is it the whole thing? What? How they were not competitive with A&M on their home field with a backup quarterback.
I mean, honestly, so some of this is me just throwing darts at a board, but I didn't see any killer instinct from Florida. And I think that was the big thing that I was banking on for Florida coming into this year was I saw the way they played against Missouri last year and the way they played against Florida State, who granted was playing left-handed with no quarterback, but there was some fight, there was some grit in 3 games in. I don't know if it's anxiety, I don't know if it is a talent gap, but there's never been this. Okay, we're going to draw a line in the sand. Fight for each other, fight for our coach. I think, honestly, on the line of scrimmage, they do look outmatched. So, I mean, that'd be the one spot I would point to, especially on the offensive line. They don't have what they need there, I think. But, I mean, it's just even other spots, they're not getting their footballs to the best players. They're not able to dial up anything defensively. It's honestly, if it was one thing, it'd be easier to have a conversation. But it's 3 to 4 to 5 things that you talk about saying, hey, this doesn't look right, and we're sitting here in year 3.
They're at Mississippi State, who's awful this weekend, and they got a bye week. It's possible that the trigger could be pulled before the bye week. Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher after a win last year, so it can certainly happen, but we'll just have to wait and see. What was Georgia doing on Saturday?
Yeah, Georgia's. It's funny because I think we kind of get a game like this from Georgia every year. It tends to be the SEC Road home opener. I think Georgia. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm going to bat for Georgia. I'm not yet hitting the panic button on them. I think Mark Stoops is a great coach. I think they were in a really interesting spot walking into Kentucky, having not really had too much resistance yet on the schedule, and Kentucky was like wounded animal kind of predisposition. Like there's a lot of things that went into that. The thing that I'm actually encouraged by, if I'm a Georgia fan, is like, okay, we got that one out of the way. We had a bad day and still found a way to win. And now I think Kirby Smart getting a week to absolutely lay into this team before Alabama, I think that'll bode well. I honestly haven't done enough work on the Alabama-Georgia game just yet because we're not there, obviously. But that's going to be I'm not hitting the panic button on Georgia at this point just yet.
Alabama-Wisconsin, what was your read there? Did the Tyler Van Dyke injury change your perception at all or not?
Man, I don't know that it mattered who was playing quarterback that day, unfortunately. I mean, as long as Jalen Milroe playing quarterback for Alabama, they were probably going to score in the 40s, and I did not see a world where Wisconsin was going to score past the 20s. So I think at the end of the day, like, the thing that scared me about Bama is I think they're just still getting warmed up. I think that was the most revved up engine offensively we've seen from Alabama at this point in the year, and I still think they've got a lot more in the bag they're going to pull out here when they get to October and November and beyond. So I love so much the marriage between Jalen Milroe and the way they use him as a runner, and it's working right now. It's all working. It's good to see them healthy on the offensive line. My question still lies on that defense. I wonder if that secondary will be up to where they need them to be able to ultimately win a national championship. But, man, Jalen Milroe through the first 3 weeks of the season looks every bit of the Heisman contender that I think everyone had him billed as in the preseason.
If you tap one LSU fan on the shoulder and ask them about Saturday, they say, found down 17-0 on the road, incredible environment, and gutted away to find a way to win it. You tap the next guy on the shoulder, and he says, lucky to win, 2 pick sixes come back, South Carolina's not that good, and this team's in trouble. Where do you fall on the Tigers?
I fall on the side of, okay, well, it was gritty. You found a way to get it done. Is that going to be good enough to beat Bama? Absolutely not. Is it going to be good enough to beat LSU? Absolutely not. Or LSU, Ole Miss? Absolutely not. But going forward, I think as long as they continue to gel, LSU is going to be in good shape. Now the question, I suppose, remains of, like, when does that gelling happen? Does it happen in November and, it's kind of all for naught? Does it happen these next few weeks? That'd be, I think, the world that I'm sure LSU fans would like to live in. The tough part for me is just not so much the team in itself. It's more so the path to the college football playoff, if that's what we're going to go ahead and, make the season about for Brian Kelly in year 3. It's like you still have Bama, you still have A&M. We mentioned Ole Miss. You finish with Oklahoma, so like we'll see what they are. Going 3-1 in that stretch feels like a very difficult ask. Not impossible, but very, very difficult. And so losing the first one against USC, I know you LSU fans don't want to relive that, but losing that mulligan that early in the year kind of set them up for a steep climb.
Everybody knew that entering the first game, and that's exactly where we are here in the middle of September. All right, let's move to next weekend, the Heupel Bowl in Norman. Josh Heupel going where he won a national championship as a player. 7-point favorite are his Tennessee Vols. What's the key in Norman?
I think we've got this a little bit on our prediction video, but Oklahoma right now has a sack rate of 11%, and that's not even accounting for how much pressure they're getting on the quarterback. I think Nico Iamaleava and his mobility, being able to break, contain, keep his eyes downfield, find the receiver, I think that's a massive part of it. And then also just being able to ID at pre-snap, like being able to deal with a more complex defense that he's seen to this point in his college career. How he handles that, to me, will make or break how this game goes. I really think for Tennessee, like, if it comes down to matchups, I like the matchups more for Tennessee on the perimeter. I like their ability to run the football. I like their matchups on the defensive line against Oklahoma's offensive line. Like, there's a lot more about the Tennessee team I like. The question is just, is your quarterback able to handle the moment? And what will be really his first true road start. and his first time having to play against an absolute psychopath defensively in Brent Venables.
If I'd have told you USC and Michigan were playing as of last year, you could have made the argument it was the most physical program in the country against the softest program in the country. Now, you fast forward to Saturday, how level is that playing field, and how's that game go in Ann Arbor?
So I think USC wins. My question is just, do we see USC look Texas-esque? Because I think Texas, as much as they schemed around that Michigan defensive line, I think they also did a lot to ultimately kind of impose their will. And I don't think anyone's asking USC to be, the big bad dog in the Big Ten just yet under Lincoln Riley and this, first-year defensive staff. But to me, it really does flip the optics if USC is able to at least hold serve on the offensive and defensive line. Like, just what you mentioned, going into the year, we're like, oh, man, USC's got to go to Ann Arbor, got probably 2 first-round picks on the D-line for Michigan. Like, they're just going to get absolutely eviscerated by that run game. And now we're like, well, hey, USC's favored by, give or take. I think it was a touchdown at one point. I think it's down to 5.5 right now. If USC is just able to win this football game and look promising on the line of scrimmage, obviously it'd be great for what they're going to do in 2024 in terms of how they project, regardless of what Michigan is this year. But I'm thinking if I'm a recruit, just the way that I look at USC and the way that I view the trajectory of what they're doing out there, I think that would be massive. And I think it would be huge in terms of them being able to ultimately do what they need to do to get back to the top of the college football mountain. And that's essentially, recruit and stockpile the defensive line.
Tennessee Georgia, I beg your pardon, eviscerated Clemson, and Tennessee eviscerated North Carolina State. They'll play at 11 o'clock Central Time at Clemson. Clemson's the 20.5-point favorite, which seemed like a lot to me. What did you think?
Feels a little steep, but I do think that honestly, so right now I have Clemson as like what I would call like a waitlist college football playoff team. Didn't love what I saw against Georgia. Love to see the offense bounce back against App State, which I think is a good G5 team. I think they'll go as far as that offense allows them to. And Kid Klubnik, we're still waiting for, some better filters to run his game through in terms of this, second year under Garrett Riley. But the defense is going to be up to par. The schedule is very manageable. I'm excited to see what Clemson does in this one because I think they should win and they should win handily. But the question is, like, okay, are we seeing the spark from that offense? Are we seeing the direction, the arrow pointing up in terms of them being good enough on that side of the football to allow them to win the ACC and punch their ticket to the college football playoff?
Number 12, Utah at number 14, Oklahoma State. Utah a road favorite, 2 points at Boone Pickens Stadium. Arkansas kind of did whatever they wanted against Oklahoma State and found a way to lose. How do you forecast that one?
Yeah, how fun is this one going to be?
Yeah.
I'm still not 100% sure what we're getting from Cam Rising because I know his hand is dinged up, and then we got troll accounts making Deion Sanders think that he's done for 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, we got a myriad of things around Cam Rising and his health. Going to Stillwater, that atmosphere will be rocking. It really does start to me, and I think everybody agrees with this point, like Ollie Gordon's got to get going for Oklahoma State. If it ends up being a game where Oklahoma State has to throw to win the football game, I think that's bad news. I'm also really curious, like you mentioned, Arkansas and Taylor Green, really wasn't impressed with how Oklahoma State defended the quarterback run, and Cam Rising's by no means a Taylor Green kind of player, but he can scoot a little bit. He's got some ways he can hurt you with his legs. How much does Utah utilize that, and how much does Oklahoma State choose to honor that, I think is a massive X factor in this game. And overall, I have Utah winning this one in Stillwater, but I think it's going to be very, very eye-opening for all of us to kind of get our first data point on some of these big dogs in the Big 12.
LSU have any trouble with UCLA and Tiger Stadium?
I do not believe so. I think whatever your prize picks totals are, take the more. Whatever the over is, take the over. I would say cash in all the good vibes you can on the gambling side of things if that's how you want to get down this Saturday. And it's going to be a good one in Baton Rouge. It'll be a nice little vibe stabilizer, if you will, before moving on.
Enjoy the football. We'll talk next week, JD.
Oh, you the man. Appreciate you, brother. Go Tigers.
JD PicKell, On 3 Sports, host of The Hard Count. Subscribe up to that YouTube channel over there at On 3, and you can get his content every single day. And he's with us every single Wednesday here on The Hunt Palmer Show. It is What If Wednesday. We'll get to all that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy, evolvept.com is the website. If you're dealing with pain, no matter what the cause of that pain is, you slept wrong, car accident, injury in athletics, Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports needs to be your first appointment, your first call. They're on LineEvolvePT.com. You can find them on Starring near Highland Road. They're in the rehabilitation game. If you've had a physical therapy experience where you walked in and they gave you a printed out sheet of exercises and said, try that out and we'll check on you in 45 minutes, or said, hey, we'll see you next week, that's not rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is hands-on, it's monitoring progress, and it's getting you back to being your active self. And that's what the folks at Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports will do. Robbie Bolton's been at this for 2 decades. Professional athletes have trusted their physical therapy with him. You should be no different. Doesn't matter your age. Youth athletes, people in their 60s and 70s trying to get back to being active. If you're an active person, you want to get back to being your active self, Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports needs to be where you are headed. Check them out on Starring near Highland Road. Check them out online, EvolvePT.com. Just get rid of the pain. Go to physical therapy and get back to being you. It's Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports, EvolvePT.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is...
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Chugging right along, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Got some good news to report from Kat Terrell over at ESPN.com. Steve Gleason has returned home from the hospital, had a medical event a couple days ago and has been hospitalized, but has since been returned home, which is obviously fantastic news for the entire Gleason family. So you can read more about that at ESPN.com with Kat's report. Adam Schefter just retweeted it as well. We're going to talk about Adrian Wojnarowski at the end of the show and take it or leave it. That was a shocking move. He's headed to St. Bonaventure.
His alma mater.
Yes, I know, but like, how much money is he making at ESPN, and how much is he going to be making doing
well,
that?
I think he's probably taking a little bit of a pay cut
Yeah, I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, but again, this is also just another sign of the transformation of college sports with general managers for teams.
Yeah, he's going to general manage the Bonnies, who fell to the Fighting Tigers in the NCAA tournament. Cam Thomas's squad beat them.
A very consistent fixture in the tournament, though.
They are solid squad.
The A10, I think, is that
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah, the A10. Good conference basketball.
Let's play some What If Wednesday.
Space. Reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, first one here. What if Shohei Ohtani has a 50-50 season?
I'll be really honest with you. Until like a month ago, I didn't even realize he stole a bunch of bases.
Yeah.
I was well aware that he's potentially the greatest baseball player of all time. I did not know he stole a bunch of bases. It's mind-blowing what he is doing to Major League Baseball. He is toying with the sport. He is treating Major League Baseball like a 12-year-old playing 10-year-olds in Little League. Like, oh yeah, I can hit a bunch of homers because I'm just bigger and better than you. Oh yeah, I'll just steal a base every time I get on because I'm better than you. Oh, you want me to pitch? I'll do that too, and I'll be the best one. It's just, he's doing at the highest level what Little Leaguers do when they go through puberty early. I'm blown away.
I saw
what he's doing.
I saw the home run he hit yesterday, and it was like a breaking ball inside. Like it was on the inside. It wasn't in the strike zone. He just pulls it 400 feet, and he watched it for a second, and then he just starts running. He's like no emotion. He's just like, yeah, whatever.
I only know of one person who saw him like in person, and they were like, it just very much looks different. He's a different looking human being. He looks like he was programmed in a lab somewhere, and you just watch him out there, and it's unbelievable. I cannot believe he's going to hit 50 homers and steal 50 bases, and he's a pitcher that throws 100 with the nasty slide. He's probably the greatest player ever lived.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I knew he was pretty fast, and for the fact that he's 6'4" and has stolen 48 bases is pretty incredible. But I think because he didn't have to pitch this year, he was probably a little bit, maybe they had to be a little bit more aggressive on the base pass. He probably won't ever reach that again. But the fact that he is 2 homers and 2 stolen bases away from that.
Are the Dodgers well clear of everybody in their division?
Pretty much, I think.
If they don't need to win, he should try to steal every time he's on base.
Yeah, he should. Yeah.
Just try to get the stats.
Which is interesting. So they're 3.5 clear of the Padres.
It's not enough.
That's not enough. But the interesting thing, just to bring it back to the Cubs, because of course we always have to do that. Pete Crow Armstrong, he quickly stole 27 bases, and he's only stolen 1 base in the last month and a half. I know that I guess he's been hitting more, so they haven't really felt like he needs to do that.
I didn't even realize that. I watched the Cubs last night. They were terrible.
Yeah, but I don't, he could easily have stolen. I mean, they can't throw him out. He's too fast. So I don't understand why he's not stealing every time he's on base. It's kind of like Ellie De La Cruz is like that. Yeah. He just steals every time. So anyways, moving on. What if Lane Kiffin gets offered 1.5 his current pay to go to Gainesville? Does he? And what if he doesn't?
So like 13, 14 a year.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that's going to be the call, and this will be my exact response to that every time we hear about it for the next 2.5 months. If Florida does that and decides they're going to hire Lane Kiffin, they're going to have to wait, because unless they lose a third game, which I don't think is going to happen, but it could, and if it does, they can hire him the next day. But if they don't lose a third game and they get in the playoff, then they're going to have to wait till after Christmas maybe to hire him. And you have napalmed an entire recruiting class, which is not the most important thing. You can restock the shelves, but you're just going to sit there and wait? You're going to fire Billy Napier in the middle of September and not hire a coach until the middle of January? That's not normal anymore. So it's that's the issue. It's not really the money. And I think it will likely not come down to just dollars and cents with Lane. I think it'll be where he thinks he can win a championship. And it's been proven that Florida's an easier place to do that than Ole Miss in the previous era. I think it's still easier there, but you got to get them in line. He's got Ole Miss doing everything they need to do. You still can't get good high school players, But
apparently that is not mattering too much now in the day and age.
We'll see.
We'll
see. They went to Georgia and got embarrassed by
Yeah,
a
they
bunch
did.
of 5-stars last year. So they haven't played anybody yet. We'll see. But that's going to be an issue.
All right, next one here. What if you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life? What movie would you watch?
I think that's going to be Forrest Gump.
Wow. Okay.
Because there's so many little storylines
Well,
in
yeah,
it. I
it
feel
is
like
a
you're
lot
watching
of-
a different movie a lot of
Yeah.
different times, and it's got some humor to it. It's got a little drama to it. It's fast moving. That's probably the answer. I gave some thought to The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That movie's awesome.
Yep.
And it's long, so
It is.
that helps. The most stupid, mindless movie that came to my mind is Heavyweights. It cracks me up
Oh,
all
wow.
the time.
What a classic. That's a good, nice throwback
that's
there.
a childhood classic that
Ben
I just
Stiller?
think is hilarious. And
Good one.
I would still think it was hilarious if I was 58 years
It
old.
probably isn't as funny now.
No, it is.
Watching
It is.
Yeah.
It is. There's no doubt in my
Okay,
mind. I can
okay.
quote every line. It's hilarious. Stiller's incredible. The characters are fantastic. I love.
That is a.
Our 8th grade high school quote as a class was "Don't put Twinkies on your pizza."
Wow.
From Heavyweights, which
I didn't realize Heavyweights was that big of a movie, man. I remember it because my mom showed it to us. We were obviously not as. We're not, not as
we
old as you,
still.
but-
In my group text last week, one of my friends put, "I did not send you to go-kart camp in our group chat." So
That's-
it lives
good.
forever. But it's not Heavyweights. It's just that's one that came to mind.
Yeah.
I'm going with Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I'm probably in between The Dark Knight.
Nookie says Zoolander. I will never watch Zoolander just out of spite of Nookie, who's asked me to watch Zoolander 476,000 times.
Yeah, I don't know if he realizes that if he just would stop, then maybe you actually would at some point.
Brian
but-
Burgess, does Hunt ever watch movies? I've watched a few movies since showing up on these airwaves. Since I was made a fool every single Friday at 7:30.
Oh yeah, well, the
morning
COVID
show.
really helped you out there.
Yeah, but before COVID, they used to ask me movie trivia, and I didn't know any of them. They asked me what movie is 88 miles an hour or whatever, which is Back to the Future, and I said Speed, just because I'd never seen any of them. But yeah, that was the whole running joke. But I have now seen a few more since then. Some good, some atrocious. They had me watch Big Lebowski, just an atrocious movie.
Oh wow, that's a bad take.
Dazed
Hunt.
and Confused, awful.
That's bad.
The
take.
Goonies was terrible.
Oh my gosh. Okay, just stop. You can stop now.
But some were really good. They got me on Shawshank, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I actually liked Fight Club. I haven't watched
Fight Club's
it again.
really good.
I've watched Shawshank a few times since they had
It's
me
a
watch it.
rewatchable.
Never gone back to
Fight Club is not as rewatchable as
no.
Shawshank. It's not exactly the most happy movie to watch.
Who's seen more butts?
I saw that.
That's good
one.
stuff.
Cassie, which one would be your movie?
Okay, so off the top of my mind, I'm a big Marvel fan, so but
Okay.
I can't pick one Marvel movie.
Oh, you have to.
That's
though.
the game.
That's the
I know.
game.
So I think I'm gonna go with My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, all
They had
right.
me watch that in
That's a
COVID.
good. I know,
I
that's
thought it was
another-
pretty good.
Another
I thought it was
classic.
pretty
Good rewatchable.
What's a grit? Is that what he says?
Yeah,
I
Grit.
quote that movie
Yeah.
so much.
Great one.
I liked it. It was good.
Mine, I guess I'll go with The Dark Knight, man. It's just I've seen. My brother used to have it downloaded on his old iPhone when we were in middle school, and we would just watch it all the time. Specifically that first scene, the bank robbery scene.
It's good stuff.
Just a great opening scene. One of the best opening scenes of all time. Let's see. We got some from the chat here. What if the Saints beat the Chiefs and start the season 4-0?
You're a Super Bowl contender without question, and you'll be in all the power rankings that float around the league. You'll be number one.
Yeah.
And that's very, very easy. And I'm not ready to completely rule it out. They've got to continue to back it up. I'm probably riding this a little bit too hot after those 2 weeks because, we know the Panthers. We know for sure the Panthers are atrocious.
Yes.
And we think the Cowboys are good, but, we'll see. But I think the Saints look good. And I don't think that it's beyond reason to think that Derek Carr in a creative offense can function. And that's really what you're asking him to do. I mean, you don't have to be Patrick Mahomes to win the Super Bowl. And so I think, or to win games really. So I think the Saints are good. If they go do that, then yeah, you can put them as Super Bowl threat in their home city, which would be apocalyptic.
Oh my gosh,
down
yeah. Wow, that's what somebody in the chat said. But all right, let's do one more. What if LSU had hired Billy Napier instead of Brian Kelly? Would they be in the same shape as Florida right now?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I can't rule that out, but I don't think so. I don't think Billy Napier is a terrible coach.
Yeah.
But dominoes have to fall a certain way, and it's like, what's your what's the recruiting crop looking like right around you, and there are a lot of factors at play. And I'll be completely candid. Like if you told me that Billy Napier got 10 years from his start, so he had 7 more years to go, and that Florida's boosters had to do their part, they couldn't check out and go, this guy sucks, I'm out with my money, I think he would eventually win some games.
Yeah.
But like, you don't get the chance to do that.
No.
You get 3 years most of the time, unless you're Zach Garnett and the whole thing goes to hell and it's very obvious you can't do this. But Napier ran a program at Louisiana Lafayette. He knows how to recruit. He knows people in the industry. He made bad hires as defensive coordinator, and he hasn't recruited to the level that he needs to at Florida. Maybe that's because he's not doing a good job. Maybe that's because Florida's facilities and NIL stuff was way out of whack. But like, I don't think he's a disastrous coach.
No.
He'll get another chance at a lower level, and he'll probably win a lot of games there, and he'll probably get one more swing at it. But when you get that Florida gig, you think this could be the one that sets me up forever. And I coached there for 10 years, and that's the whole deal. And it looks like it's going to be done in 2.5. Yeah,
I don't think the reason Billy Napier is not succeeding is because he's not a hard worker. It's not like he doesn't want to win games. I think in LSU, it's such a much better recruiting situation than Florida, where you have to compete with so many other Power 5 teams.
In Florida right now, when you look at what his situation is that he inherited, right when he got the job, Tennessee, Florida State, Georgia, and Miami
all going up.
All are on the up. And that just, something's got to go down. And there it was. So that's it for What If Wednesday. Matt just sent me a text that Urban Meyer has squashed the rumors that he's going to be Florida's next head coach. So I think that's probably best for everybody involved.
Yeah.
We'll take a timeout, come back, and close out hour number 1 next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running things for 40 years down there at Boudreaux's Electrical. They're a certified Generac dealer. They're a premier Generac dealer. Just a terrible tongue twister there, too. A premier Generac generator dealer. That means they're in the top 3% nationwide. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing that when those hurricanes roll through, when those summer storms roll through, when the ice storm shows up twice a decade, that you are not going to have to worry about the power going out. Some people work at home. You're sitting there in the afternoon in the summer months. You can't have the power go out because a guy drove into a power line next to your house, or you had the summer storm roll through. You're not going to be able to be productive at all. You need a generator. Boudreaux's can help you with it. You can call them at 985-397-1562 or 225-300-9389. I can make it easy for you. You don't have to remember all those numbers you're driving around. Go to boudreauxelectrical.com. You can certainly remember that. Every single Generac generator that they sell you comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty, depending on the type of generator that you buy. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. Check them out online, boudreauxelectrical.com.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne
began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here. Brian Kelly met with the SEC's assembled teleconference media today and had a couple of talking points. One was on the block punt that LSU suffered in the second quarter of the game on Saturday. Of course, South Carolina came up the gut, blocked the punt, and they turned that into the score that put them up 17-0. And Brian Kelly said after the game, hey, we think that was an illegal block. We think we got a pretty good case. There's a rule that says that you cannot leap over the defender. Well, Brian Kelly, as they do every single week, took the calls and sent it off to the SEC Director of Officials, and they, within 48 hours, always receive it back with a voiceover that suggests what the call was, and they've had phone calls that have ensued afterward, and Brian Kelly talked about that whole exchange on the teleconference this morning.
We did get a response, and the response was that the leaping took place outside the framework of the body of, in this instance, Bordelon, who was the shield. And if it takes place outside the framework, and the framework is characterized as shoulder pad to shoulder pad, if it takes place outside of that framework, then leaping is allowed. We agreed to disagree that took place outside the framework of the body. And so we accept the, I guess the verdict, and we move on.
So that's the point of contention. They say that he was outside of Bordelon's body, and you can leap around somebody. You can't go straight over the top of somebody. LSU disagreed with that, but such is life. Didn't cost LSU the football game, and you live and learn, I guess. The other point of conversation that Brian Kelly talked about that I found interesting was John Emery and his status with the team. Talked about how he had been away a little bit recovering from the surgery, got to get his academics caught up, but that he will be back.
Nothing yet, but he is now able to be around the team. He was here yesterday. He'll begin to travel with us on our next travel, and we're ready to kind of get him back with us in the meeting rooms to help some of the younger players, because he can be a great asset for us. So generally after, the surgery, we give the guys some time. That usually takes a week or two, and he's now past that window, and he'll begin to start attending meetings and be a great mentor for those younger guys.
I can see that. Obviously, Josh Williams knows it all. He's a sixth-year senior like Emery, and Caleb Jackson's been around for a year and a half. But if those guys are engaged in the game and dealing with what they've got to deal with, I can see Caden Durham. We'll see how big a workload he gets this week. But Caden Durham's kind of the number one back, which, Hester said this morning he thought he should be. That could be a good resource on the sidelines, on road trips, that while Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson are locked in and maybe on the field, that John Emery can help out with Caden Durham as far as a freshman to a 60-year senior relationship can go. So, it sucks for John. You hate it that his 6th year and final year of college eligibility is wrecked that early. We'll see if he decides to come back and play some more football, but he can certainly be a part of the football program and help some of the younger players that are coming in, and he'll have that opportunity as they move forward. Next time LSU hits the road, John Emery will be there. So just a little bit of info from the teleconference earlier today. The SEC coaches meet on that teleconference every single Wednesday. Brian Kelly kicks things off at 10 o'clock. Got a little quick piece up on LouisianaSports.net if you're interested. Also on LouisianaSports.net right now. Got matchups to watch for LSU and UCLA. Did a little bit of a deeper dive on UCLA than I had previously, and dug a few things up. We actually are going to kick off the next hour talking UCLA Bruins. Got our guest from out in LA, Zach Anderson Yoxheimer. He's from Locked On UCLA, going to be coming down to Baton Rouge for the game. So we'll get a look at the UCLA Bruins coming up about 5 minutes from right now. If you missed anything in the first hour, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show and like, subscribe, rate, and review. I opened the show talking about Alvin Kamara and whether or not the Saints should open up the pocketbooks and extend his contract, being that he's been such a great fit in this offense. I have my thoughts. You probably have yours. You can check that out on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. JD McKell from On3 Sports, looking back at last weekend in college football, looking forward to the weekend to come. And, of course, it was a What If Wednesday. Talked about movies, Shohei Ohtani, whatever the case may be. We covered it at 1:30 in the second hour. We'll talk UCLA to kick things off. SEC football power rankings are incoming in 35 minutes from right now. We'll step aside from SportsCenter and come back after you hear about the nation's headline. It's hour 2 on the way in the Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel at the podium today explained the thought process behind the team's decision to put quarterback Tua Tagovailoa on injured reserve after the third diagnosed concussion of his NFL career. The stint on IR keeps him out at least the next 4 games. McDaniel said the decision based on information received and collaboration with medical experts. Right now, Miami's managing 2 timelines regarding the situation, explains ESPN NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum.
Short term, it's IR. Let him get the medical care he needs so he can make a full recovery, however long that takes. In the meantime, now you have time. You brought in Tyler Huntley. You have 2 quarterbacks with him and Skylar Thompson. And now you have until the end of the year to say, is he still with us long term? And then obviously that could be a massive pivot. But I like the move of injured reserve because it buys them time to assess the situation.
Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert has a sprained right ankle but is feeling better, according to coach Jim Harbaugh. He did not practice today. NHL Bruins #1 goalie Jeremy Swayman not around for the start of training camp today as contract talks are at an impasse.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Have to work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Some big-time brands that are unfamiliar to LSU football on the schedule this year. USC in the rearview mirror. Oklahoma is the finale. UCLA, another one as they head to Tiger Stadium to take on LSU at 2:30 coming up on Saturday. Zach Anderson Yoxheimer covers UCLA from Locked On UCLA. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Zach, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. How about you?
We're doing quite well, and we appreciate it. Give me a vibe check in Westwood these days. Obviously, first year of a new era, both in terms of a coach and a conference, and it's been a little bit of a bumpy start. How are things in UCLA land right now?
I don't think they could be any worse at the moment.
Okay.
After a drubbing at the hands of Indiana to open Big Ten play, that's about as embarrassing as it gets for UCLA fans in football land.
So, were there lowered expectations entering the season with a difficult schedule and a new coach and the transfer portal era, or is this still a crisis situation after 2 weeks?
It's very much a crisis after 2 games. I think there's a lot of optimism from a lot of UCLA pundits, including myself, still thinking there's quite a few pieces from last year's team left over from Chip Kelly that made contributions. And there is some hope that maybe they could go bowling, but clearly through the first 2 games, that does not look like to be the case. There needs to be much improvement to even get to 3 wins this year. So kind of up in the air as to what they're going to look like this week and going forward.
Why was Deshaun Foster the guy that they tabbed to be the head coach after Chip Kelly left?
Well, I think it came down to the fact that UCLA, one, probably didn't have the money to fire Chip Kelly, didn't have the wherewithal to do it in November, and then they waited for Chip Kelly to leave. And when they waited so long for him to make his decision to leave to go to Ohio State, they were left without what was a pretty good class, I think, of head coaches available this year, and some probably would have been mutually interested in the Bruins. And then after it's all said and done, maybe some flirtation with PJ Fleck, with Tony White, Deshaun Foster had that in-house relationship, even though he had left to go be the Raiders running backs coach and then come back to UCLA in a couple of months. It just seemed like they went with the quick, easy hire, somebody who knew the players that could keep the staff intact a little bit. And if you saw the picture when he got announced, the players absolutely loved it. It just hasn't translated into much success on the field so far through 2 games.
It's a big-time offensive coordinator, however. I'm imagining that there are a few people driving around or listening that are going to be surprised to learn this, that Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator at UCLA. Of course, he was there in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid for a long time, interviewed for a lot of head coaching jobs in the NFL, ended up in Washington, and now has found his way to UCLA. What's he trying to get accomplished with the Bruins offense right now?
Well, it's very different from the MO with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, run the ball, simple passing routes. Well, then you've got Eric Bieniemy, who got his big shot with the Commanders, comes to UCLA, and it's trying to utilize a receiver room in UCLA that's pretty good, an experienced redshirt senior quarterback, a running back room that's decent, some returning offensive linemen, and you'd expect this offense could have a lot more of a passing emphasis this year. Well, so far, Garber's best game included 2 picks, 270 yards against Hawaii, where he looked anything but steady. And what he's trying to do is find a way to get more protection for Garbers. That was a concern last year, and it is a concern this year. And to use all these weapons they have they're available right now. And right now, that's been a big problem for the Bruins with the quarterback making poor decisions, dropping the ball, lack of protection. And right now, nothing's really going right for a coordinator who is not known to run the football.
I chuckled a little bit. I was listening to your podcast after the game last week, and you come off a bye week, and the first snap, the quarterback runs into the tailback, and they drop the ball. You've had 2 weeks to prepare, and it's just a disastrous start to the game. What were you thinking when you watched that?
That was, embarrassing. I mean, first to already have them down 7-0, you watch the defense get broken down, give up 3 third-down conversions. You're like, all right, you need a positive play. And UCLA has only led for 30 seconds this year, an offense that's not proven, and then they just drop the ball, and it's like, okay, that's just a recipe for a loss. There's nothing they can do. They're down 2 scores. It just felt so embarrassing and just, oh, no, this is going to be as ugly as it could be, and it ended up being the worst it could possibly be.
Tell us about Ethan Garbers. What does he do well?
Well, the idea is he's a great leader. He can lead the locker room. He's trying to digest a new offense that the rest of these guys have all struggled to understand through the spring into the summer, and it's kind of translated onto the field. What he's supposed to be is a good decision maker and a veteran presence in the locker room in this day and age of transition from Chip Kelly to Deshaun Foster. Well, the accuracy hasn't been there. The decision making hasn't fully been there. It just hasn't planned out. He's not exactly the best deep ball thrower, and the hope was he could just give it to the playmakers on the outside and they make plays better than the young options they have behind him. Now, maybe that could happen this week, and the last 2 seasons, Garbers has been absolutely bombarded in the backfield with limited protection on dropbacks. If he gets any protection, gets some confidence going forward, he could be a better quarterback in the Big Ten. Not the top quarterback, but he could be feasible. That he just has not shown over these first 2 games in this 24 season.
Zach Anderson, Yoxheimer's our guest, Locked On UCLA. If you're looking for a preview of the Bruins as game time approaches, you can go check him out at Locked On. Let's switch over to the defense. Obviously, UCLA had a great defense last year. LSU fans heard all about it in August because Danton Lynn moved over to USC, and that's obviously who LSU opened with. There are some remnants of that defense still left. What can you tell us about the strength of the Bruins?
Well, the strength is the linebacker room. They had Samuel Adejo, Kane Medrano. They're expected to have a healthy name, Ale Cajo. You guys might know him. He started at Alabama, then has been at UCLA for 4 years, injury-plagued. The secondary had a lot of transfers, so needs a lot of experience, but quite a few moving parts. And the interior defensive line is expected to be good. Now, 2 expected starters, Jay Tawia, Keanu Williams, have been injured and not really available to practice this week, making them questionable for this weekend. So the 2 best pieces on the D-line a little bit hurt. One of their starting linebackers has been limited in practice, and one of their better DBs, Kanye Clark, he left injured. So there's a lot of questions about this defense, but the linebacker room is still good. The secondary has made some plays, and yes, you're going to look at those Curtis Rourke numbers for Indiana, shredded the Bruins, close to 80% completion rate, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, nothing near an interception. So it all comes down for the Bruins this year about if they can get pressure. If they get any pressure without needing to blitz consistently, that can allow the secondary to make some plays, which they did not do against Indiana.
Let's talk about weather, because I realize that sounds like it would be a big deal. You look at the weather in Southern California, it's gorgeous. It's still in the upper 90s. Here, they did just go to Hawaii. I know that. And it's been a pretty warm summer, I understand, in Southern California. So do you think standing in the heat at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when the real feel on the field is 101 is going to be adversely affecting UCLA?
I mean, I think it helps that going to Hawaii, they play that first game middle of the day. It's hot. It's humid. So they can't say humidity is a factor. They've dealt with that hot weather. In the bye week, it was really hot in the Los Angeles area. It was unbearably disgusting. You look at the Indiana game, it was perfect weather, cooled down by that time. But whenever there's a hot game, a road environment, Death Valley, all that mixed into one, that is a concern, especially when depth is a question for this team. So they got talented people, but they're going to rely on certain players again and again. The heat is always a factor, but it has been really hot. They've played in a game where it's hot. They've got the experience. It's just a very different environment, from 10,000 Rainbow Warrior fans to 100,000 screaming Tiger fans.
Give me your idea of disgustingly hot. I just want to hear what you think that is.
Ooh, I've had, it depends. I've been to the least attended UCLA game that was non-COVID, and that was at the Rose Bowl, 100-degree kickoff for an 11:30 a.m. kickoff. 100 degrees.
Okay.
That was disgusting.
That's what we call July through September here.
Yeah. So 90 degrees, 90% humidity, that can be pretty brutal, but I think they should be able to handle it. They've dealt it already, but it can be disgusting, yeah.
What kind of chance do you give UCLA on Saturday?
Chances are extremely, extremely slim. What are the Lions? I think close to 24 points.
Yeah.
They're huge underdogs. If you want to go towards the SEC, you saw Kentucky gave Georgia a game. If UCLA wants to look around the country and see who did something similar, Kentucky was injured last week, right? They were coming off a dreadful performance the week before and taking on the then number one team in the country. Probably didn't have a lot of expectations to come out and compete, even though they ended up losing. So if you want a game plan, UCLA needs, 1, LSU to make a lot of mistakes. 2, not trail in the first 5 minutes of the game. Build some confidence, but the chances are really slim because UCLA has one of their starting receivers out, 3 to 4 defensive starters, all limited in this week of practice to this point, and with no semblance of success on offense. It would be one of the bigger upsets in UCLA history for them to come into Tiger Stadium and put forth a winning effort.
Are you headed down to Louisiana?
I am. I'm flying at the crack of dawn tomorrow, and I'll be at Tiger Stadium, so I'll be super excited for that.
Awesome. Well, you got my number. You need any recommendations or anything, you hit me up. Safe travels down to South Louisiana. We appreciate some time.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
He's Zach Anderson, Yoxheimer, locked on UCLA. We appreciate a little bit of time. I mean, I kind of expected that tone because I listened to his podcast a little bit, and I understand that things have not looked very good for UCLA through 2 games, but it's still a little bit surprising to hear a program that was on good footing under Chip Kelly. It's not like they were a power. They weren't winning Pac-12 championships year over year, but they were a quality football team. In this day and age, like sometimes when you go through those transitions, like things can fall apart pretty quickly. And when you look at barely beating Hawaii, as he said, leading for only 30 seconds in that game, and then Hawaii goes to Sam Houston and gets crushed the next week. And then you talk about opening Big Ten play at home against Indiana, not Ohio State, not Michigan, not Penn State, Indiana, and being non-competitive. It's understandable that there are some pretty low spirits in Westwood these days for the UCLA football program. We'll see the Bruins inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday afternoon. We'll take a timeout, come back, talk some LSU football. It's right here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. One of the things I'll tell you about weekly here is safety in the bathroom. The bathroom can be a hazardous place, especially as folks age. If there's someone in your life that's aging a little bit, wants to stay home, but you feel like the bathroom could be a hazardous spot, mitigate that. Put in some non-slip floors. Put in some handrails around the hazardous areas. Go ahead and put in a walk-in tub to make things more convenient, comfortable, and safer. Put a bench in the shower, makes things safer as well. Those are things that David Duvall and his team do all the time, and they are happy to help you with it. Go to onebathandclosets.com, get that free consultation, tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. When you do that, get $1,000 off of your project. They have great testimonials from their satisfied clients on the website, pictures of their great work on the website, and you can get that consultation I tell you about every single week. Every single day, really. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Congratulations to Brian Gendron from Baton Rouge. Brian is the Week 3 winner in our 2024 Pick'em contest and wins a Hooters wing party for 10 people. Don't forget to make your picks for round 4 by tomorrow at noon. That's Thursday at noon. Weekly winners will receive a Hooters wing party for 10, and the first place season-long champion will receive a 75-inch 4K flat-screen TV and soundbar, plus free Hooters wings for an entire year. It's the 2024 College Football Pick'em presented by Hooters.
I've got this piece of paper right here with the current SEC football power rankings on them. We will get to that in about 12 minutes. Yesterday, had a chance to go up to campus after LSU's practice was completed, and we got to talk to 3 Tigers. We spoke with Braden Swinson, who was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. We spoke with Ashton Stamps, and we also talked on the offensive side to C.J. Daniels. And I thought about playing some sound here. I don't know that the sound is as powerful as sometimes it is. I just want to kind of convey the conversations that we were having with those players, specifically with Ashton Stamps and with Braden Swinson. I can tell you that when those guys talked about the game that they played on Saturday, there was a significant amount of optimism surrounding them. Swenson was a defensive player of the week. So you understand that he's going to feel pretty good about that, even though South Carolina busted 2 60-plus yard runs, even though South Carolina scored 33 points. Like, personally, you go out there and you have 3 sacks for the first time, as he said, since high school. Like, you're going to feel pretty good about that. But it was more than just his personal performance. He felt like they created a ton of havoc. He felt like they were difficult to block. He felt like they were making plays on the football. He felt pretty good about what they were doing, and he relayed that to us. And then you talked to Ashton Stamps, and he was talking about how, some bad things happen, but it's all about us kind of stepping up and having a short memory and going out there and making the next play. And I realize that young people have short memories and that young people adapt a little bit better than those of us who are getting older, or those of us that are have been fans for a very, very long time. They just don't sweat things as much as we do. I mean, I was thinking about this as I was walking out, and because I was just taken aback by their demeanor. And it's the same conversation that I had after the USC game, when I thought that their attitude was a very, very good one when they came in to talk to us. I was thinking about how the fans reacted to the Florida Game 2 domination of LSU in the College World Series. And I came back on the air with very little voice on Monday, and I was like, folks, these kids do not care about that game anymore. They know they have one game to go out there and play and win. And they don't care they just got beat by 20 in Game 2 of the national championship in a game they could have won the national championship in. They just don't care. And I realize that there are a lot of LSU fans that are just really downtrodden about the defensive performances week after week. You're really disappointed that you couldn't stop USC from going right down the field 2 times in a row to win the game. That you're really disappointed that Nichols had 3 straight scoring drives of over 65 yards. You're really disappointed that Nichols busted right up the seam in the second half after a bad first half of defense and the guys didn't snap out of it and execute. And you're disappointed that it took a backup quarterback and 3 turnovers to get out of Columbia, South Carolina alive. And I understand that. I will tell you, and that's reasonable. It's perfectly reasonable for a fan not to be comfortable with that kind of defense from LSU. Perfectly reasonable. But I will tell you that the players and actually the coaches feel like they're pretty close to being better. Whether or not they are, I don't know. I'm probably closer to the fan perspective on this that's going, man, I'm not going to take 2 60-yard runs off the board against South Carolina when I just watched a 60-yard run against Nichols, and I just watched an entire season full of 60-yard runs. I'm not conditioned to go, but if you just take those 2 away, you hold them under 250 yards. And that's what Brian Kelly said. I'm probably closer to the fans going, hey, stop that. But they feel like they're getting closer. And I will tell you that in talking to Swenson and talking to Stamps, and I asked them both the same question, that was, hey, when you think about the game on Saturday, do you think more about the big plays that South Carolina made on offense? Do you think more about the big plays that you made on defense? And they both said that they think about the big plays that South Carolina made, but they also recognize that they did make some really big plays on defense. And honestly, if you're handicapping this team and you're assessing their ability moving forward, thinking they're going to come out at some point and start playing defense like last year's Michigan team or Georgia plays, or LSU from 19 or 11, that's not going to happen. But can they be a defense that creates some chaos? I think so. I think that's probably their strength. If I think about the best pieces of this LSU defense, I think of Swenson's pass rush. I think of Perkins' pass rush. I think of Savion Jones getting up the field like he did against USC and making some plays in the backfield. I think about the package they put in, that Prowler package that has Whit Weeks flying all over the place and Sage Ryan blitzing in and knocking the ball loose against Sellers on Saturday and injuring Sellers eventually because you got so much pressure. That's, I think, replicable some days. I think there's very little chance that LSU becomes some lockdown secondary, or that the defensive tackles that they're putting out there and Bro and Shand, who's have converted in, and Lee and Washington, and those guys becoming, all league type players. Like that's not going to happen. What's got to happen for this LSU defense is that the talent that they do have and the things that they do well need to show up consistently. And that's probably going to result in some big plays for the other team, and that's probably going to result in some big yardages for the other team, and that's probably going to result in a couple more losses. But your hope is on a given Saturday that you can create enough havoc, that you can create some turnovers and hit the quarterback and make the quarterback uncomfortable and force some bad decisions. Because of that, your offense picks up the rest of the slack and you can win some close games like they did against South Carolina. And I'm telling you, the players believe that. And they feel like Saturday was some proof of that. I'm not telling you that's right. I'm telling you that's what they think. And I don't think Brian Kelly is giving lip service on Monday when he comes to the podium and says, hey, if we eliminate those 2 runs, we hold them to under 250 yards total offense. We hold them under 30 points. And if LSU holds teams to under 250 yards and under 30 points, they're going to win a lot of games. The proof will end up in the pudding, and we'll find out what this whole thing is, and we'll know in December. And there's got to be recruiting done on the defensive side, and there's got to be development done. And I think LSU's got the staff in place to make that happen. You can't wave a magic wand. But I was taken aback yesterday at the demeanor of the LSU players, specifically Swinson, who are not downtrodden, who do not bemoan the fact that LSU doesn't have a championship-level defense. He actually thinks, we got some dudes, and we made some plays. We just got to keep making more of them and keep getting better. And there's absolutely no piece to that LSU football program or locker room that feels like the season's over or that they're not good enough or that was a lucky win or any of that. And a lot's been made of the disconnect deal, and John Talty came on this show back on Monday, and I think all that's just a complete waste of time. But I talked to the players. That's real firsthand experience, and those guys are fired up to go play on Saturday. And my feeling about Saturday's game, and you'll get this as we move forward throughout the week, we got 2 more days to go on the show, is that LSU's going to put it on UCLA. Like, UCLA looks awful. They're statistically awful. It sounds like the personnel is awful. I don't know if the coaching's any good. And you just had a guy who, by all accounts, he covers UCLA. And I don't know if he went there or not. I don't know if he supports them or not, but he covers them. And he's looking going, this is not good. And that may be just what the doctor ordered. We talked about that when you walked off the field in Vegas. Okay, you've lost, and that's real bad because your margin for error just trimmed down heavily. But you're going to win against Nichols. You got to find a way to go to South Carolina and get it done. And if that's not exactly what they did, I don't know what to tell you. They found a way. And then you come back and you play a bad UCLA team and you play a South Alabama team you should overwhelm. And then you got a bye week, and then you throw the dice and see what happens. And I'd prefer that not be how it is. I'd prefer they go win in the game 1. I'd prefer they field a defense that doesn't give up big plays all this often. But these are the cards we got, so you got to play them. Interesting stuff. If you want to read my piece on Braden Swinson, Ashton Stamps, and the LSU defense, you can do it at louisianasports.net. Also up at louisianasports.net right now, Chris Marler's SEC Week 4 Power Rankings. I'm going to give you mine coming up after this timeout. Marshawn Lattimore returned to practice. That is up there. Daniel Dickinson named to Baseball America's top 20 draft-eligible prospects. That's up at louisianasports.net right now. All of it is completely free. If you love LSU, if you love the Saints, if you love SEC football and want to read it, it's all at one place and it's all free. It's louisianasports.net. We'll come back and Beck will probably yell at me about my power rankings. We'll see. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team, they can do it all. Commercial, property, and casualty. They can also handle group and employee benefits. You know how important group and employee benefits are. It helps you hire staff and retain staff so that your business can keep rolling. If you haven't given a lot of thought to what your benefits may look like or you're not happy currently with your situation, Highland Insurance Group can help you out with that. And I tell you every single day about their ability with property and casualty. Insurance is not a fun thing to talk about. All anybody wants to say is, it's really expensive. I know. I spent 7 years in insurance, but it needs to be right because when crises occur, you need to be sure that you're covered. And Highland Insurance Group will help you with all of that. They can audit your policies. They can make those corrections. They've got plenty of markets as an independent broker to make sure that your property, your casualty lines are all placed in the proper space and taken care of the right way. You don't want to have the claim happen and then go to the policy and see if you're covered. You want to know, have the peace of mind of knowing, hey, we're all set. No matter if there's a cyber breach, car accident, hurricane, whatever the case may be, you are taken care of. The Highland Insurance Group can do that for you. Check them out online. They're right here in Baton Rouge. You can find them on the web, highlandig.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, 30 minutes to go here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. You missed our UCLA preview. We talked about the Bruins with host of Locked On Bruins, that, of course, Zach Anderson, Yoxheimer. Not a lot of confidence emanating from Westwood at this point, but we previewed the Bruins at 2 o'clock. It did what, if Wednesday a little bit earlier, JD Piquel of On 3 Sports. So we've had a lot of action here over the last hour and a half. Got 30 minutes left to go, and there's only really one thing to do at this point. I got a feeling this might get a little testy. We'll see how this goes, but it's time for SEC Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Georgia Bulldogs.
We start at the top, and I'm not moving them. It wasn't great over the weekend. It was not great against Kentucky, and that offensive effort was not very good. But Georgia does this once a year, I feel like. We've seen them do it against Missouri. We've seen them do it against Auburn. They're not infallible. They're just really, really good. And when they have the stinkers, even though they're on the road, they still find a way to win it. I still think Georgia is the best team in the league, but I'm a little bit less convicted after last week. Number 2.
The Texas Longhorns.
They did not miss Quinn Ewers very much. This is a good roster, and I think Quinn Ewers is better than Arch Manning, but Arch looks pretty athletic out there. That run was really impressive. We'll learn more about the Longhorns in 2 weeks, but Texas is a damn good football team. I've got them at number 2. Number 3.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Look, 191 to 13 is 191 to 13, and that's what Tennessee has won their games by. Now, we're going to learn a little bit more about NC State this week as they go to Clemson. If Clemson waxes them, maybe that takes a little bit of shine off, but I'm drinking the Tennessee Kool-Aid. I think they're really, really good, and I've got them up there at number 3. That's no change in the top 3 from last week.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
No change here. Ole Miss didn't do anything at Wake Forest that would dissuade me from having the Rebs in the top 4. They did not allow a touchdown. I think their defense is pretty good. You've seen LSU's defense against some bad teams over the last 2 years give up points and yards because they're not a great defense. I don't know if Ole Miss has a great defense or not, but they're playing some of these teams and they're not giving up any points. So I have reason to think that their defense is improved, and I think their offense is phenomenal. I think Dart's incredible. I think Trey Harris is really good. I think Ulysses Bentley can run the ball. I think Ole Miss is really good. I've got him at number 4.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Tide went up to Wisconsin and took care of business, but I didn't move them up any. The top 5 is exactly the same as it was last week. Ryan Williams got all the headlines. I like Jam Miller and Justice Hayes as a running back 1-2 combo. They're really, really good. If they do what they did this week with Milroe and run him 12 times for 75 yards and get him in the end zone, there's a functionality that can happen with that Alabama offense. I expect Kalen DeBoer to know what to do with it, but it looked pretty good. Even though Wisconsin lost their quarterback, I think the Tide was going to roll regardless. So top 5 is unchanged.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri's at 6. That's unchanged as well. They weren't dominant on Saturday, beating Boston College. It was 27-21, but they were good enough. I thought the defense played pretty well, and the offense, I expected to score 35-40 points. They did not, but I still think Luther Burden and Theo Weiss are good. I still think that the Cook is good. He had an interesting quote this week, said, if we don't win all our games, it's a failure. I think that's a little strong for Missouri football to put that out there, especially considering if you go 11-1, you're very much in the playoff, and that's just not a failure at Missouri. But they're feeling some type of way about things up in Como. I got them at number 6.
The LSU Tigers.
I kept LSU at 7. They won the game at South Carolina, and you're getting to a point here in the power rankings where there are some flaws with all the teams that are below. There are some flaws above as well. But LSU, I think, is fine. They've got a good offense, a good quarterback, really good wide receiver. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit better. Maybe Caden Durham can figure that out, and we'll see if the defense takes some strides. I'm not saying LSU's going to the playoff, but I do have them at number 7.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
We'll see this week with the Sooners. I mean, they played out of conference, and they just didn't look dominant. They did not dominate Tulane, who's a decent team, but they didn't dominate them, and they certainly didn't dominate Houston. So it's looking kind of with Oklahoma right now. Jackson Arnold threw a bad pick last week, and just want to see more. And they've got Tennessee coming to town. It's going to be a full house. It's going to be maybe the best scene in college football this week. If you get run off the field, I think that's a feather in Tennessee's hat, and Oklahoma may be backing up. If you show some teeth and you can slow Tennessee down and you can win the game at home, we'll maybe do some moving around. But right now I got Oklahoma at number 8. That's the top half of the league.
Texas A&M!
The Aggies were impressive, but I didn't move them up because I think Florida stinks. So I left Texas A&M right where they were. Le'Veon Moss had 110 yards against Florida. They did it with a backup quarterback. That was a solid win. They certainly looked good, and then Notre Dame took it all out on Purdue over the weekend. So I don't know if Notre Dame's good or not. Maybe they're not. But A&M, I think, is a functional team. I think they're a mid-tier team. I think these are the teams that LSU's kind of jockeying with right now. I've got the Aggies at number 9, 2 spots behind LSU.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Yeah, you're right. I did not move anybody in the top 10. Every single team in the top 10 is in exactly the same spot. Nothing happened over the weekend for me to make any drastic changes. I think Kennard and Stewart are legit for South Carolina, and I think they're going to rush the passer really well. I still think Will Campbell and Emory Jones are really good. I still think Garrett Dellinger and Miles Frazier are really good, especially in the passing game. And even in the passing game, South Carolina was able to get home against LSU. That tells me they're going to get home against a lot of people. And that's going to be a decent way to win games. I don't think that Sellers is very good. I obviously don't think that Robbie Ashford's any good. But South Carolina's got a good defense, and I think that'll win them some more ball games. So I got South Carolina at 10.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Got a little movement here. Kentucky's up from number 13 to number 11. The offense still stinks, and I'm disgusted that Mark Stoops did not trust his quarterback to try to make an 8-yard throw against Georgia. Not 18, not 28, 8 yards. He didn't trust him to do it. That's a problem in Kentucky's program because they don't trust their quarterbacks to try to make plays, and they lost the game because of it. So I'm not going to move them up consistently. They still are pretty well coached, and they've got a pretty good defense, but as I've said many, many times, Kentucky's day in the sun is over. They had a chance to make a splash on Saturday, and they failed to do it. They're still up 2 spots, but they're number 11 in the league.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay, these last few teams are stinky. The Razorbacks, look, they eked by a terrible UAB team. ULM smashed UAB. UAB had a 2-score lead on Arkansas in Fayetteville. Awful. And we were worried about Taylon Green, Beck. We were worried about him. What did he do against UAB? 11 for 26 with an interception.
Not great.
That is not great. It is not good. It is not bad. It is atrocious. I think those games are in there, but he had some good ones before that, so I'm not totally giving up. But that's the Taylon Green I thought we were going to get all year, which is why I had Arkansas worse moving forward. But they are back to number 12. Number 13.
The Auburn Tigers.
Got an Auburn change, quarterback change coming. Hugh Freeze has kind of not found it. I mean, he's got some better playmakers on the outside, but they don't have a quarterback. And Peyton Thorne is probably done as the starting quarterback at Auburn. They're going to go to the youngster, and I think that's probably for the best. I still just think Auburn's probably a year away, maybe 2 years away roster-wise. They're going to have to get back in the portal and get back in the high school ranks because they're just not a very good team right now. Arkansas and Auburn play this week. Those two teams are right next to each other in the power rankings. Could be some movement.
The Florida Gators.
Dude. Florida should not be coming 14th in the power rankings. They should not. And there are two teams worse, which is why they're not 16, but this is really bad. They cannot block anybody. They cannot stop the run. And they are in trouble as far as finding another win or two on this schedule. I mean, to get embarrassed by a first-year head coach in Mike Elko with a backup quarterback in the swamp is indefensible by Billy Napier. His time's coming. We're not exactly sure when it's going to be, but they are really, really bad. Beck, are you ready for number 15? Are you ready for number 15?
No.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Moving them up, baby. The Vanderbilt Commodores are number 15. They are no longer in the cellar. You look disappointed. Why are you disappointed? You love the Doors.
I do, Hunt, but this is not when they needed to be 15.
Listen,
they
Beck,
lost to Georgia State, Hunt.
Listen, Beck, I have seen many NL East teams like the Phillies and Mets go to Turner Field and get their butts kicked.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Vanderbilt is no different. You go down there, the Panthers are tough, and you lose a tight ball game.
Okay.
It's on the road.
All right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't.
There's a team worse.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
No, just because you're used to putting them at 16, that's not it. Who's 16?
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
They're worse than Vanderbilt.
Okay.
They are worse than Vanderbilt.
All right.
I mean, they have to be. Did you watch?
I saw that.
Did you see?
Yes, I know. They lost.
A week after being physically emasculated by Arizona State, 350 yards on the ground, they come back and get housed by Toledo.
Comparing Toledo to Georgia State is not okay. But that's the point, though. I understand that they lost in a worse fashion than Vanderbilt did, but you can't. To me, the losses are equal because Georgia State is a much lower quality team than Toledo. I know, which is why they should have been 15 last week.
There was no proof that Mississippi State was worse because when Vanderbilt got that win,
Mississippi State only beat Eastern Kentucky. They lost to Arizona State, and they lost this week.
But when Vanderbilt beat Virginia Tech, Mississippi State beat Eastern Kentucky by 1,000. How am I supposed to know they were atrocious?
Because obviously that's a better win. Beating Virginia Tech is a better win than beating Eastern Kentucky.
Vanderbilt doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, Beck. That's what you're not getting.
Okay, but the second week they also won, and then Mississippi State lost to Arizona State.
But it was a competitive game. It was a reasonably competitive game against a Power 5
They got
team.
dominated on the ground.
They did. But State, dude, I mean, Toledo by 30 at one point at halftime?
Yeah.
I mean, that's 16 material. That's where you end up. So we'll run through them one more time for those that missed it. We'll start at the top. Georgia, then Texas number 2, Tennessee number 3, Ole Miss number 4, had Bama 5, Missouri 6, LSU 7, Oklahoma 8. That's the top half. It did not change. A&M at number 9. That didn't change. South Carolina at number 10. It did not change. And then a little bit of shakeup in the bottom half. Kentucky moves up to 11, Arkansas at 12, Auburn at 13, Florida at 14, Vanderbilt at 15, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs at number 16. And Rivers is texting me saying to chill out. Look, Rivs, I can't defend a loss by 1,000 to Toledo. Maybe if it was in the Glass Bowl up in Ohio, in Davis Wade, in front of the Cowbells, that's demotion city. That's 16. That's where it's got to be.
I'm not even going to argue with you about it anymore because the fact that Vanderbilt is now not 16 is good enough for me.
That's a win for you?
But it is. But at the same time, the logic is just not there.
Did you like that Turner Field line?
Yeah, that was good. Like I told you, man, Turner Field was rocking in that game, man. They were going crazy for the Panthers.
Who are the Panthers fans?
I don't know. Probably nobody.
The Carolina Panthers have lost all their fans. They're now down at Turner Field.
They're going to Turner Field.
It's a short drive down there. That's incredible stuff. All right, let's close things out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LeBear's Baton Rouge, that's your home for all things game watching over the next 3 months of football season. It's a fantastic place to go get a bite to eat, to go check out the big screens. They got a ton of games on at the same time. You can obviously watch and wager. And I'll tell you this, you got to download the Cover 5 app. Download the Cover 5 app and compete against me. Why would you want to compete against me? Well, I was atrocious last week. I lost 4 of my 5 bets, lost a ton of points. It's a season-long race. If you haven't downloaded the Cover 5 app yet to compete against me, and you're like, well, it's a season-long race, I've already missed 3 weeks. Well, I just backed up to the pack. You can blow by me in one weekend if you make good picks. So download the Cover 5 app, download that Penn Play app as well, and compete against me each and every single week. I can go ahead and give you my picks each and every Friday so you'll know what to fade. It's an awesome, awesome way to spend football season with the Cover 5 app, courtesy of the folks at Penn. LeBear's Baton Rouge is your live sports headquarters. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Closing up the old shop here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. We'll have Luke Johnson on talking Saints. We'll certainly have Chris Blair on talking Tigers, more previewing LSU-UCLA, and the Saints and the Eagles in a big one from the Dome on Sunday. It's been a good one today. Had a lot of fun over the last 2 hours. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We got one more order of business, and it is take it or leave it.
Alrighty, first one here. Adrian Wojnarowski, as we teased a little bit earlier, is leaving ESPN, retiring, as they say in the article, to become the general manager of St. Bonaventure basketball. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. If that's what he wants to do, that's awesome.
Probably a little bit less stressful of a job.
Yeah, for sure. I looked up his age. How old do you think Woj is?
I would say like 55.
He's exactly 55. He returned 56 on March the 4th. And so I don't know what his salary is. I'm sure it's very
Probably
significant from ESPN, and depending on what he wants to do. But I mean, if you were to work 5, 6, 7 more years, that's millions of dollars. I can't imagine it's a huge salary from St. Bonaventure
Probably
for the
not.
general manager who's handling NIL deals for the St. Bonaventure basketball team.
The Bonnies.
This is a labor of love that he wants to get into, and I guess he's made enough money to where he doesn't feel like he needs to do any more. I mean, if he was making $10, $12 million a year, like I have no idea what they pay him, then he's fine. But if he was making, one, and which I'm sure he's making more than that, but it's like it's early to call it a career when you're at that part of your. I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Shams is obviously there, and Wendy has his sources as well. But like, it's a curious move, but one I'm sure is awesome because he is going to go home. He's going to go work his alma mater. It's going to have a lot less stress. Work with young people. He's around basketball, which he loves. So it's a great off ramp. It just feels like an off ramp. You take it 65 instead of 55.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe people are. I think I've noticed at least that some people are starting to retire a little bit younger than they have in the past, just in all regards, especially sports too. We've seen a lot of football players start to retire pretty young. So maybe. I mean, hey, look, good for him, man. If he wants to go do that for a few years and then just walk, right off into the sunset, not gonna fault him for that.
If I Google his salary, will that come up?
I don't know. That means like sometimes Stephen A's comes out. I don't know if like his would though.
Okay. It says $7 million a year according to The Athletic.
Okay, but it's not confirmed, I would guess.
It says has 3 years left on his contract. He's leaving about $20 million on the table. But if he's been making $7 million,
he's been making $7.
He's been making $7 for a while, and kids are gone.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Yeah. All right, moving on here. The LSU men's basketball schedule is finalized and released. They put a Twitter post about 45 minutes ago. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It's a good schedule, like as far as the quality of opponents and as far as tailoring it to your tournament needs. It's not great for the season ticket holder, and that's a little bit unlucky because this is the second year of the home and home with Kansas State, so they go to Kansas State this year. You're going to play Pittsburgh and potentially Wisconsin.
Or
that's going to
UCF.
be in West Virginia. You've got Florida State coming here. That's part of the SEC ACC, which is really good. But you play SMU's had a pretty good program. That's in Frisco. It's not here. So your home schedule is Mississippi Valley State, New Orleans, Stetson, Florida Gulf Coast, Northwestern, Charleston Southern, Alabama State, ULM. Like, that's not awesome.
No.
But it is good. If you're talking about season ticket holders, you would like a little bit more. If you're talking about what they need for tournament resume stuff, it feels right. You're not killing yourself with teams you can't beat, and there are some name brands on there that should rack up some wins. And so I think it's a quality schedule. You'll get those home and homes that'll come back every once in a while, but that ACC, SEC is going to vacillate as well. Hopefully one day LSU gets to the conversation with Duke and Carolina and can get a trip up to one of those places. If that happens, I'm going.
Yeah, you have some good SEC teams at home. You've got Arkansas, you got Auburn, you got Texas for the first time, obviously.
That's what we were talking about when they released the opponents. It's just there aren't any layups anymore.
No,
like, I mean
Vanderbilt should open your season, so that should be relatively.
And you start, and Missouri's next, and they went over last year.
Yeah,
but I can't claim to tell you what Missouri's back.
But after that,
like
man, it's going to be
just brutal.
It's going to be brutal. Yeah,
it's Chris Beard, it's John Calipari, it's A&M, it's Bama, it's
at
Auburn.
Bama, they never win there.
No.
The dump,
which is an irrelevant statistic, but still one that's
still
frustrating nonetheless.
Yeah, it still makes sense.
It doesn't matter that Trent Johnson had a bad record at Coleman Coliseum, but still, every time LSU goes there, it seems to go very, very poorly.
It does. All right, next one here. Daniel Dickinson named a top 20 player by Baseball America for their prospects, coming in at number 12 on this list. He's the Tigers' third baseman. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it, but I'm tepid in that. I think they're going to figure it out. Dickinson, is probably more suitable as a second baseman. That's what they list him as in this article, but Milam's clearly as at second, and I don't know which of them has the hands and the arm strength to go over there and play third base. I'm not sure. Tommy White did a really good job defensively over there last year, so they got to figure something out there. But Dickinson is thought of as a really good athlete, as it was written in that piece by I can't think of Cahill's. I can't think of his first name. I can see him, but I can't come up with it. Jim Callis said that he's one of the highest floor prospects in the draft because he runs well, he has really good feel bat to ball, doesn't strike out a lot, and he can hit for a little bit of pop. So talk about a guy that can definitely run. That's always going to be there, and can definitely put the bat on the ball. That's always going to be there. That's a high floor. If you're a big power guy, but you swing and miss a ton, your floor is really, really low. Can't make any contact. Dickinson is thought of as a high floor guy, and is certainly thought to be a big piece to what LSU is going to do on the field this coming spring. Tigers start practice. I looked this up today. October the 10th is the first practice, so we're about, 3 weeks away from LSU cranking up fall practice. And yes, were you going to talk about that? Yes, I will talk about that every once in a while on this show. We're not going to load up our Fridays with a bunch of baseball talk here, but over the course of a 10-hour week, we'll find a way to shoehorn some baseball into our coverage from here to here. I'll be the only one that does it on the whole show, but we'll do a little bit, on the whole station, but I'll do a little bit of that. All right, that's it for us here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Anywhere you find your sound, you can find us. JD Piquel was with us in the first hour talking all things college football. Should the Saints pay Alvin Kamara? My thoughts on that. It was a What If Wednesday. We heard from Brian Kelly and previewed the UCLA Bruins with Zach Anderson Yoxheimer of Locked On UCLA. Catch all that on demand or on YouTube. Have a wonderful Wednesday evening. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more.